So I was just about to head out to the grill to begin filming another video when I realized that I have not done a review of something that I've been using for about 4.5 months now. And that's both the ThermoWorks Smoke and the ThermoWorks Thermapen. So that's what I'm doing right now. So earlier this year, ThermoWorks contacted me and said, hey, we'd like to send you a ThermoWorks Smoke, which is the 2-channel receiver. You can have a ambient temperature probe and a meat probe, or 2 meat probes, whatever you want to do, and a Thermapen Mark IV. They said, hey, can we send you these? You try them out, use them in your videos, see if you like them. And I said, sure, okay. I knew a lot of people who have already used these, and they're considered, especially the Thermapen, almost an industry standard with the quality of build, the instant read capability, and its ruggedness. Now, I still have all my other wireless thermometers and instant read thermometers, and I do use those. But I have to say, the ThermoWorks Smoke, and especially the Thermapen, have become my go-to. They are built like tanks. If you look at these, the quality of construction is obvious. They are not small, light little things. They are beefy. I have dropped this receiving unit for the Smoke 4 or 5 times out on concrete. I would not recommend that, but it still works. I haven't had a hiccup out of it yet. The Smoke is extremely easy to set up. If you look at it, it has some very simple buttons. A set button for each probe, top one and bottom one. You can plug either one you want in here, food, ambient, whichever you want. You basically hit set and you pick your temperature. Hit set again, you go to your bottom temperature, change that, hit set, there you go. You can turn the alarm on or off. You can turn the volume on the alarm off or all the way up to very loud. I usually leave mine off because what happens then is if I hit a high temperature reading or a low temperature reading, it shows it on the receiving unit, and that is where the alarm will sound. It'll be a beeping and a vibrating. All you do to stop that is press the button. It has a lighted faceplate on and off. Simple buttons over here to turn the alarms on and off for each probe. You can set it for Celsius or Fahrenheit with one button on the back, turn it on and off with one button on the back. And in the time that I've been using the Smoke, and remember, I use this 3, 4, 5 times a week. I mean, I make between 3 and 5 videos a week, and I use this on almost every single cook since I've gotten it. I've never lost connection. I haven't had to change the batteries. They say it's long lasting. You won't have to change batteries much, and I can attest to that. I've had this running for hundreds and hundreds of hours over the past several months. So the Smoke is really sort of the basic model of this. It has the 2 channels. I know you can get other ones that have multiple channels. For me, honestly, I find this works just fine. I usually only have an ambient temperature probe and a meat probe. I usually don't need anything more than that. If you do, you can move up and get a different one. But I gotta tell you, the quality of the build of this is just fantastic. And it is my go-to remote digital thermometer now. And now for the Thermapen. Here's the thing about the Thermapen. Just like that receiving unit, I have dropped this thing out on the concrete unintentionally, and I don't recommend it. And it functions as well today as it did the day I got it. It is rock solid accurate on temperature. I tested both of these as soon as I got them with boiling water. I know you can use an ice water test. I prefer the boiling water test. 212 on the dot, both of them, for every probe that came with them. Ambient, meat probe, and the Thermapen probe. It has an automatic on-off function. If you close it, it goes off, open it, it comes on, and if it just sits there for a while, it will go off. But one of the features I really appreciate in this is the rotating readout. If you turn it, the number rotates so it's readable no matter what orientation it's in. And that makes using it when you're cooking outside, reaching into a pit, into the barbecue, at whatever angle you're at, makes it very easy to be able to read those temperatures without having to twist your neck or twist the probe. And the readout on the Thermapen Mark IV is fast. I get temperatures within 2 seconds. I mean, really good rock solid temperatures when you're going, say, deep into a brisket or something like that, and it doesn't fluctuate up and down. And as you'll see here, it's been sitting for probably about 20, 30 seconds. The display went off and came back on with motion. If you leave it sitting there, it's going to go off again. And that is really nice when you're wanting to save batteries. I have other instant read thermometers with buttons, so you have to turn them on and off. But with these, you don't have to worry about that. Now, these are not inexpensive units. They're not hideously expensive. I know the Thermapen Mark IV runs about $99. Sometimes you'll find it on special. They do have other Thermapen models that are less expensive. The Smoke, I'm not sure what the price is on it. I think it's somewhere around $99. I know especially things like the Thermapen, these are just recommended by a lot of organizations. America's Test Kitchen, I know they recommend the Thermapen. And after using it for 4.5, 5 months now, I can't imagine going back. One of the things I did after a couple months of using it and realizing, hey, this is a really good solid unit, is I went back to my memory of things that fail. And my experience tells me with things like this, remote digital thermometers, usually this is going to be fine. What's going to break or fail is the probes over time. Things can happen to them, the cords can get pinched, the ends can get in direct flame, which is a no-no, don't do that. Lots of things can happen. So after about 2 months, I went ahead and I bought like an extra ambient temperature probe and an extra internal temperature probe. Because my experience tells me that at some point, those are the things most likely to fail. None of them have failed yet, which I'm glad, but I don't see either of these units failing through regular use. Now, I don't abuse these, but I don't carry them around on soft pillows either. I'll pick them up, throw them in my apron, in the pocket of my shorts, whatever I'm doing, and I want them to be rugged enough to just handle that normal use. Now, as I mentioned, I've dropped them on the concrete. I don't recommend it. I'm going to repeat that again. And they're still working. So I don't expect these things to fail just from normal use, but those probes and things, I know that they get even more abuse than this just through normal use, and they can fail. So honestly, if you get something like this, if you get anything extra, get an extra ambient temperature probe, because if you're going to be using something like the Smoke, you don't want to lose that temperature of the pit. You can always check the temperature of the meat with something like the Thermapen or another instant read thermometer, but that ambient temperature probe is really important to get a good, accurate temperature of the pit. Now, I'm going to put a link down in the video description to the ThermoWorks site so you can go and check out any of these things. Full disclosure, that's an affiliate link. If you do buy something there, I earn a small commission. Doesn't cost you anything else, but it does help support the channel, and I appreciate it. And here's my recommendation. If you wanted to get something like these to sort of up your barbecue, your grilling, your smoking game, to really get into some accurate and rugged temperature readings, if you could only get one thing, I would get the Thermapen. As I mentioned, they have multiple models of this, some less expensive, some more expensive. I really like the Thermapen Mark IV. It's just been rock solid. I can't give anything else, a higher rating than rock solid. It does what it's supposed to do, and it handles the way that I use things. I don't baby things, I don't abuse them, but I don't baby them. And I like the fact that it works perfectly whenever I need it to work. So that's my 4.5, 5 month review and report on the ThermoWorks Smoke and the Thermapen Mark IV. They work, they last, they're rugged, they're built well. I have a feeling I'm going to be using both of these units for years to come. I'll just have to change the batteries.